Welcome to the very last dance of Homeless Joe. Despite what some of you may have heard, this is not a play about homeless people. It is a play about people who happen to be homeless. They have hearts, minds, flesh, blood, and most importantly, they have souls. There's actually a line in the play. One of the characters says, "They took my mind, but they couldn't take my soul." And that's what this play is really about, is about seeing people who are homeless as people. C.S. Lewis said, "We can't change our beginnings, but we can change our endings." And by the finish of this play, we hope to change the perspective of everyone in this room, everyone in this Zoom. Also, two little announcements. Because we're on Zoom, even though we expect the best, we prepare for the worst. So if there's a technical difficulty and one of the characters disappears from your screen, one of the other characters will step in and do the part, so try not to get confused. Hopefully that won't happen. Also, there's a dog in the play, a pit bull. Well, the pit bull that I had assigned to the play ran off with a chihuahua from Pretty in Pink last night and will not be appearing today. So you'll have to use your imagination. So that being said, I invite you to enjoy, sit back and enjoy the very last dance of Homeless Joe.
The stage is dark. Lights come up on three people on stage, two men and a woman. They're all dressed in tattered clothes, and one man has no shirt. Each person has a cardboard sign which reads, "Homeless and broke. Please help." The woman speaks first.
My leg is fractured and I can't work. Please, can you give me some money or food?
I was laid off from my company. I can't get a job. Please, can you spare $1 for food? I've lost my mind. Can you please help me find it?
After all three homeless people talk at once, asking for food, money, help, over and over again. A casually dressed middle-aged woman, Charlie, walks onto the stage and the homeless people fall silent. The woman gives some money to each of them and says the same thing to each of them.
I hope this helps you.
All three homeless people leave the stage.
Those folks, they were all somebody's baby once. They were clothed, fed, maybe even loved. Now they're just adrift, homeless and alone. And they're everywhere. In front of the fancy shops in Soho, beneath the bright billboards of Times Square, from the condos of Murray Hill to the cafes in Hell's Kitchen, East Village, West Village, Upper East Side, Upper West Side, from Wall Street to Washington Heights. The disenfranchised, the outcasts, society's lost and forgotten children, Manhattan's homeless people, the castaways, stranded like uncharted islands in the stream of more fortunate New Yorkers. They haunt the streets with haunted eyes, like wandering spirits, watching the world they once knew go by, close enough to touch, but just out of reach. They're hopeless, untethered, adrift on a concrete asphalt ocean with no safe harbor in sight. They are a statement. They are a result. They are a reminder. And they're a legion. Sad, tragic, hopeless. And then there's Joe.
A light comes up on a man in his 30s and a pit bull sitting on a piece of cardboard on the stage floor. The man holds a cardboard sign which says, "Let's all have a great day."
Joe is homeless, and yet he always has a smile on his face. Nothing in the world his own but a few clothes and knickknacks, and yet he seems to be as happy as a clam. And Joe has a dog. She's a sweetie, loves everyone who comes by to pet her. Some people think, how sad, a dog living on the street. They couldn't be more wrong. Mush, that's what Joe named her, because she's a big mush. She goes to Central Park 4 to 5 times a day. She swims in the cool lake by Bethesda Fountain. She has a ton of friends and admirers because she has such a sweet, friendly disposition. Mush and Joe live by a river called Broadway, flowing with fast cars, trucks, buses, people, and other dogs. Sometimes the other dogs float by Floating by, glance over at Mush and Joe as if wondering why they're sleeping on a cardboard mattress on the bare sidewalk. And why do they seem so happy? That's a hell of a story. But before I tell you Joe's story, let me tell you how I met up with him. I'm a born and bred Manhattanite. Yep, I fondly remember all the little mom and pop shops, the telephone booths, and when Times Square was squalid and sleazy. It was good times. I'm a copy editor for a little Manhattan newspaper called On the Street, but I really want to be a writer. I never met a story I didn't like, exciting or boring, juicy or dry. I needed to find a story that people would want to read, something powerful, something that concerned every resident, every tourist, everyone. I was standing on the Columbus Circle waiting for inspiration when a man asked me for some change to buy a hot dog. I bought him a hot dog. He thanked me profusely, and that's when it hit me. Homelessness. There's a massive, untold story there. Who are these people, really? What are their names, their stories? So I proceeded to find out.
A light comes up on an older, bearded man wearing a pink camouflage shirt. He's holding a cardboard sign which reads, "I voted for Trump and now look at me."
The Trump Hotel looms over Columbus Circle like a dark tower from a Stephen King novel. Dark, shiny, and foreboding. At its black marbled feet, there are no heroes or villains. But nestled between the veggie juice cart and the halal food wagon, there sat this man with a cardboard sign that read, "I voted for Trump and now look at me." I liked his sign and decided to start my story about the homeless with him. Clever sign. You really vote for him?
Yep, I did it to piss off my old man.
Your dad a Democrat?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, the Vermont senator who ran for president?
Yep.
Bernie Sanders is your dad.
Yeah, but he'd never admit it. But back in the 70s, him and Grace Slick dropped acid at a Pink Floyd concert. And bang, I was conceived in the wild purple haze. Love child with no love. Brought up in foster care and group homes. I ran away when I was 15 and never looked back. Worked hard in the mean streets of Chicago. Went to the school of hard knocks. Was a short order cook and a grease monkey. A Louisiana boat shrimpman and a Manhattan bike messenger. God, I love that job. Free as the breeze, carefree as you please. No one there to tell you what to do. My name is Pink Floyd. People call me Pink. I consider you a friend. You drop money into my cup.
My name's Charlie. Nice to meet you, Pink. That's quite a story. I'd like to hear more. You smoke?
Letty, I've tried everything. Not much to say, really. My story is kind of boring, actually. I traveled across America. I went homeless in all the big cities. I slept under the Hollywood sign and danced across the Golden Gate Bridge. I did Mardi Gras in New Orleans and protested the war in D.C. I met some folks, some nice, some not. I slept in the Grand Canyon once. Never seen the stars look so bright. There are no stars in Manhattan. I miss that. I met some women. I fell in love just once. Her name was Tessie, Arizona. Her hair was as blonde as the Indiana cornstalk. Her eyes as blue as the sky. So deep you could fall into them. God, I loved her awful. We were inseparable. We were going to travel the world together.
Oh.
Guess dreams die hard, lady. Guess it wasn't meant to be, huh?
What happened?
Her husband and kids called her home. I guess they missed her pretty badly. And that was that.
Wow. Tough break.
It was what it was. Relationships are a bitch. I'm flying solo now.
But you rely on the kindness of strangers.
People are unreliable. They lie to you, they leave you, they fail you, they freaking die. And what do? We dance. We waltz through the lies, we tangle through the failures, and when folks die, we break down. And lady, my heart's as broke as it comes.
That's a pretty harsh philosophy.
Pretty harsh reality. But if you want a sad story, you got to listen to Homeless Joe. He's got us all beat. Amazing story.
Homeless Joe, what's his story?
Better if he tells you himself. Joe and his dog, he'll break your heart.
Really sad, huh?
Sad ain't the word, lady. Tragic is more like it.
So where do I find this Joe?
It's easy. Just walk down the street. Stay on the shady side of Broadway. You can't miss him. He's got a pit bull with him. He's always smiling.
If his story's so tragic, why is he smiling?
Better if you ask him himself. Joe and his dog, he'll break your heart.
I waved goodbye, and as I walked away, diving into the stream of folks flowing to and from the A train, I stopped and turned back to look at Pink. Squatting there on the cracked pavement, holding his little cardboard sign, he seemed like a castaway stranded on an island, asking people sailing by to throw him a lifeline. But no one did. I wondered to myself if he could actually be Bernie Sanders' son, or if he was just spinning a yarn, or if he was experiencing delusions. Any way you look at it, he's a person in need, and there are so very many like him, so many castaways, so many lost souls, hungry souls, all starving for attention, all begging for their next meal and an ounce of human kindness. I drifted away, caught up in the pedestrian stream, wondering if I'd find this homeless Joe guy and how his story could possibly be any more heartbreaking than a guy named Pink Floyd living on the streets of Columbus Circle. And as I cruised up Broadway, I wondered what other homeless souls I'd stumble across and what sad tales they spin for me as well. And then I meet Blind Sally.
A light comes up on a middle-aged black woman wearing sunglasses and a tattered shawl. She's sitting on a milk crate in front of an upscale candy store called Sugar. She has a cardboard sign that reads, "My name is Blind Sally and I don't dance anymore."
Hello, Sally?
Hello, and it's Blind Sally, if you don't mind.
Blind Sally, sorry. My name's Charlie.
Charlie, nice name for a man. You are a man, right?
I'm a woman.
Dang, I can't never tell nowadays, damn millennials. All sound alike, and for all I know, you all probably look alike. So, what can I do for you, Charlie?
I'm a writer, and I'd like to hear your story for an article I'm writing about homelessness.
My story is I'm a dancer who doesn't dance. Nobody wants to dance with a blind woman, you know.
Do you miss it, dancing?
I miss it powerful. In my mind's eye, which is still 2020 Technicolor, I often travel back in time to when I was 15, before the disease stole my sight and my dream of dancing with Alvin Ailey. I was beautiful to watch, beautiful.
I'm so sorry. That sounds awful.
You have no idea, mister.
Oh, I'm a miss.
You sure about that?
Pretty sure. So, Blind Sally, in your mind's eye, what do you see?
You really want to know, huh?
I really want to know. Please.
I used to dance day and night, night and day, and so did my parents. I danced with my mother, a lovely, soulful elementary school teacher from the Jamaica Islands. I danced with my father, a half Irish, half Cherokee truck driver whose heart was as big as the semi he drove. We all loved each other madly and all loved to dance. Any given day, we mambo in the kitchen, limbo in the living room, and waltz through the shady tree-lined Brooklyn streets. We lived to dance and dance to feel life's joy. In my mind, I see myself young and carefree, leaping, spinning, dipping, and soaring around like some beautiful black bird. Then, like always, some kind soul drops some change into my cup and the memories fade. My mind's eye goes dark and I'm 50 years old wearing someone else's discarded dress and tattered shawl, blind and homeless, no family, no friends, no future in sight, alone among millions, as hopeless as a ripple in a rainstorm.
Your mother, your father, they sounded like they loved you very much. What happened to them?
My father died as he lived on the road, heart attack, too many lumberjack breakfasts and too many greasy spoons. Eat your veggies, Charlie.
I'm so sorry. And your mother?
After Dad died, she was never the same. My going blind was a knife in her heart, and I guess my dad's death twisted the blade even worse. She stopped talking altogether, like she was only going through the motions of being alive. At the end of each day, I'd ask her, Mother, are you there? One night she didn't answer, and I was left alone in the dark. I've been alone ever since.
That's very sad. Listen, is there anything I can get for you?
Some candy would be nice. Jelly babies, please.
I say sure, and come back a minute later with a pound of jelly babies. Here you go, Blind Sally.
Thank you, Charlie. Tell me, do you dance?
Oh, no, I've never learned. I don't know how.
Yes, you do. And that kind heart of yours, and those kind bones you do. Life is a dance, Charlie. Dance is life. You can't have one without the other.
Well, you don't dance anymore, Sally.
I don't really live either, Charlie. Dance, Charlie. Dance while you still got the chance. Thanks again for the candy.
You're very welcome. By the way, do you know a guy named Homeless Joe?
Of course I do. Joe brings me candy, jelly babies, every Saturday evening. Nice boy, precious dog, such soft fur. He's who you should talk to. Sad, sad story. You keep heading on up Broadway, you're sure to find him. Thanks again for the candy and the company. And remember, Charlie, start dancing.
I said thanks and goodbye and turned to go. I glanced over my shoulder and watched Blind Sally sitting on her milk crate, munching her candy with only a tattered shawl and her faded memories to comfort her. I wanted to wave goodbye, but I was as invisible to her as she was to the sea of people sailing past her. As I turned away, I imagined her dancing. And then I remembered that she doesn't dance anymore, and a deep sadness filled my chest as I drifted uptown. Then I met Jimmy.
Lights come up on a man standing in front of an upscale coffee joint called Pastisserie. He is late, middle-aged, and is wearing a dark blue polo shirt, khaki pants, and brown penny loafers, all dusty. He has a cardboard sign at his feet which reads, "I love pastries. Please give."
Hey, miss, can you spare $5 for a cup of coffee?
$5? That's an expensive coffee.
Hey, it's a ritzy neighborhood. I'd move, but I can't beat the rent. So what do you say? Can you buy a coffee for a guy down on his luck?
How do you like it?
Gallon of cream, pound of sugar. Diabetes, here I come. Large, please. Oh, and if you're feeling extra generous, the cherry cheese Danish is to die for.
So I bought 2 coffees and a Danish for us and thought to myself that this little story on homeless folks was becoming ironically expensive. Here you go. My name's Charlie, by the way.
I'm Jimmy. Except one lady. She's always dressed like for the opera. She calls me Jimmy Bag of Donuts. Because every Friday night, she brings me a half a dozen assorted. Nice lady. So Charlie, you from around here?
No, I went to grade school near Lincoln Center, though.
Really? Hey, your parents must have some long dollars, huh?
No, I was a kid actor. Made a few commercials, paid for my private school, but I never really liked the business. Auditions, rejections, it's a lot of pressure for a kid. So I retired at the ripe old age of 12. Disappointed my mom something awful. It was her dream, not mine. But what's your story, Jimmy? You're dressed pretty well for a guy asking for someone to buy him coffee.
These clothes, forget about it. Goodwill thrift shop. I walk in, I change my clothes, I walk out. It's the 5-finger discount store. And my story? Oh, I had it all. I lost it all. I went nuts. And now, here I am. House, job, wife, kids, all history. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I'm just a pathetic, pointless, donut-eating ghost of a man I once was. My world ended, Charlie, but I'm still in it. And that's the short version.
I'd like to hear the long version.
Do you really want to know? Sure. Why not? I was a plumber, and I got injured on a job. Hospital bills crushed my savings. I lost my house in Sag Harbor when the housing bubble burst in 2008. And the friggin' wife, she eventually left me for a real estate broker. A friggin' real estate broker. She took my infant son and my teenage daughter with her. Can you believe that? I haven't seen him since. I gave up. Drank and drugged around the city for a while, and eventually I wound up on the well-off streets of Lincoln Center. Except I wasn't well, just off. Too despondent and crushingly depressed to rejoin regular society, stuffing my grief with cherry cheese Danish, I live from day to miserable friggin' day. Some days are sweet, some are salty, but most are downright bitter. That's my story, Charlie.
I'm sorry for your losses, Jimmy.
As my sainted mother used to say, it is what it is, and it ain't changing anytime soon.
Yep. Jimmy, do you know a guy named Homeless Joe?
Almost Joe? Sure I do. Nicest guy you want to meet. Got the sweetest dog on the planet. Saddest story you ever heard, though. He makes me seem like a lucky guy.
You know where I can find him?
Just keep going up Broadway, Shady Side. You're bound to bump into him. He'll break your heart, man.
So I've heard. Thanks, Jimmy. I'm gonna keep going on my way now.
Thank you, Charlie, for the Danish, the Joe, and the scintillating conversation. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Jimmy reminded me of some colorful character from a dime novel, but he wasn't a fictional person. He was a real life reminder of society's flaws. I felt sad that he had given up and accepted his impoverished fate. As I neared the corner of 65th Street, I noticed an older man with a cardboard sign that said, Veteran Relief Fund. I walked up to him and saw that his baseball cap also said veteran.
Lights come up on Modesto, an obviously old Hispanic man, casually dressed, wearing a baseball cap which reads Veteran. He holds a cardboard sign which says, Veteran Relief Fund.
Hello. So you're a veteran.
You are a genius, lady. What tipped you off? The sign? The hat that says veteran?
Sorry, that was a stupid question.
Okay, make it up to me with a generous donation to the Veteran Relief Fund.
Veteran Relief Fund.
Yeah, I'm a veteran who needs relief, food, clothes, subway. Nothing's free in this life. My war is over, but I'm still fighting.
Fighting who?
Not who, lady, what? Poverty, despair, loneliness. I fought for my country. Now I fight for me.
Oh. Here, I hope this helps.
Can't hurt, thanks. Most people just float on by, like I'm not even here. My name's Modesto, and you are?
I'm Charlie. I'm writing a story about people who are homeless, and I'd like to hear yours if that's okay.
A story? My story? You got a few days?
I'm in no rush. Where did you serve, Modesto?
Vietnam. The bungle in the jungle. You weren't even born yet. I was just a kid myself.
Did you see combat?
2 bronze stars and a Purple Heart.
Oh, that's incredible.
Nothing incredible about it. I paid for those medals in blood. I've got 3 bullet hole scars in my leg and a metal plate in my head. Whenever it rains, it plays WBLS radio. It drives me nuts.
Really?
No, not really. You're a naive little thing, ain't you? What else you want to know? My life's an open book. But you better hurry up and read it because the ink is fading on the pages. I'm 73 years old and my tired mind is starting to go. Memory ain't what it used to be. Sometimes that's a good thing.
Well, can you tell me about Vietnam?
It was a nightmare I never did wake up from. Flashbacks, you know? My body got out in mostly one piece, but part of my mind's still there. What do you know about Nam, Charlie?
It was the war nobody wanted. Massive protests. Martin Luther King spoke out against it. A whole generation of young men sacrificing their lives just because the government wanted to save face and win elections. It was a dark time.
You don't know the half of it. The intimate horrors of it, up close and unimaginable, worse than someone like you, someone who's never seen war up close, can ever imagine. Hot, always the freaking heat, mosquitoes as big as your fists, snakes, foot fungus from the steamy air, and blood, rivers of blood, and death, a world of death, lurking behind every tree and rock.
God, you're right. I can't even imagine. How old were you, Modesto?
17, 101st Airborne Division, machine gunner at 7 freaking teen. My first damn day in the field, we were attacked. Lost 12 guys, boys who'd never go to college, get married or see another sunrise. And for what? So some fat cat bomb maker could line his pockets and call us suckers for dying for nothing? It was my first combat mission, so I was shook up for about a week. But I had to pull it together to stay alive, and somehow in the middle of all the insanity, I did.
You must have been terrified. How did you function? How did you keep going?
Drugs, MJ, heroin, anything to numb the brain, ice the heart, and steady the hand. And fear kept me sharp. One moment the jungle was quiet except for the birds. Next moment the guy's next to me's head exploded. It was a horror movie and we were the stars. No director to yell cut though. No theme music like in the freaking movies that glorify war. The real thing is too horrific for you to stay sane. So you adapt. You become a killing machine like the Terminator, Schwarzenegger. Or are you too young to have seen that movie?
Oh, Schwarzenegger's best work.
Arnold's an American success story, eh? Anyway, we never really saw the enemy, you know, just muzzle flashes from the jungle. After the firefight, we'd find all these dead Vietnamese. I shot a guy in the face once, a second before he was about to shoot me. And all I could think afterwards was that he had a mother and a father and maybe a wife and kids who'd never know how or when he died. I kept thinking he could have been me, and I'd never get to kiss a girl or drink a beer with my buddies again or hug my mom and smell her arroz con pollo again. But little did I know, the worst was yet to come.
What happened?
The Tet Offensive.
What was the Tet Offensive?
You youngsters, you don't know nothing. Damn shame what they don't teach you in school nowadays. No wonder everyone forgets how we bled for you, how we died, so you can play Xbox and whine about how tough your life is. See, while we were all getting high waiting for a peace treaty to be signed, what seemed like all of Vietnam decided to attack our base. I mean, we were getting hit from every direction. We were all going to die and never live our lives. We had to call in an airstrike right on top of us. We dug in and prayed we didn't get killed by our own bombs. Some prayers were answered, some not. Once the bombs fell, it was all luck if you made it out. 42 men lived that day, 94 didn't. Pure luck.
And you were one of the lucky ones.
Maybe, maybe not. If I'd bought it on that day, I wouldn't have had to live the next 5 decades haunted by the ghosts of men I shared mud and blood with. I still see their faces when I close my eyes, but the party wasn't over. My 9th week in Nam, I got blown out of a helicopter. Busted me up pretty good. When I recovered enough, they sent me home, but I didn't feel at home. I was suffering from PTSD and I become a junkie. Felt like I had a disco ball behind my eyes. But every time the drugs ran out and the disco stopped, I was just a broken bird limping toward his next fix. I was high through most of the 70s, but even after I got clean in the 80s, every time I got a job or tried to stay in one place, well, let's just say it didn't take. Home, family, possessions, all seemed pointless to me. I was a killer with no one to kill except myself. So I started drinking. That got me through the 90s. Finally did AA and sobered up physically, but I was still drunk with guilt and shame for all the lives I'd taken, all the horrors I'd witnessed. So I started living on the streets, homeless, invisible, except at night. Thank God for Central Park. It's peaceful there. I don't relive the bombs and screams so much. And I've got friends in the park, other veterans from different wars, but with the same story. Too broken inside and out to have normal lives. There are quite a few of us older soldiers who live in the park. The Legion of the Lost, I call us.
I wish I could do more for you, Modesto. Take some of the suffering from you somehow.
Can you turn back time? Make me a wide-eyed 17-year-old again? Tell me to run off to Canada and never look back? No? Then just write about me. Tell my story. Hey, I always wanted my 15 minutes of fame.
Okay. Modesto, do you know someone named Homeless Joe?
Sure, he hangs out up Broadway a ways. Has this super friendly pit bull. I see them swimming in the Central Park Lake once in a while. What do you want with him?
I hear he'll break my heart, but I think you've already done that.
Yeah, I never had much of a life this go around, but Joe, Charlie, he's lost more than I could ever even imagine having.
How do you mean?
Ask Joe, he loves to talk. He'll tell you everything you want to know, maybe even more than what you want to know.
Thanks, Modesto, for the story and for your service. Best wishes to you.
Bye, Charlie. I'll see ya when I see ya.
Lights go out on Modesto. Charlie addresses the audience.
As I walked away from Modesto, I thought to myself that his story was the most tragic I've heard so far. Modesto was not born to kill. He didn't even choose to kill. He was thrown into a hellish situation where it was kill or be killed by heartless old men in designer suits who made their living off young men dying. What kind of world do we live in that sends our sons and nowadays daughters to foreign shores to fight and die? And die for what? Our country? Freedom? A buck? And when they return, treat them as though they never even existed. But people like Modesto do exist, barely. And Joe's story was somehow worse. I started walking uptown again, images of war filling my mind, and barely went 1 block when I saw a man with no shirt standing behind a street lamp with his hand out. He wore a hospital bracelet on his outstretched wrist, hospital pajama bottoms, and a pair of flimsy hospital slipper socks on his feet. I walked up to him a little cautiously.
Lights come up on Soul.
Can you please help me? I've lost my mind. Can you help me find it?
What's your name?
Soul? Call me Soul. They took my mind from me, but they couldn't take my soul.
Soul. What a great name. I'm Charlie. Who took your soul? Who took your mind, Soul?
On the island, the ravens, Odin's eyes. The ravens watch your every move in the halls that lead to nowhere. And if you act too happy or too sad, they make you take things that erase you and steal your thoughts and memories and hopes and dreams. The ravens eat them, and then you forget who you are, and you never leave because you forget where and who you used to be before the ravens got you.
Where's this island, Soul? Do you know what they call the island?
The ward. All's lost there. All the lost there. The windows don't open. The doors stay shut. Your brain goes bad like cream cheese in the sun. Your mind melts into the cracked linoleum, and the ravens watch as you disintegrate. The ravens laugh at your misery with their heartless eyes.
Ward's Island. Were you on Ward's Island?
Where the ravens live.
Were you in Manhattan Psychiatric Center?
MPC, yes, my psychic cage.
How long were you there?
Oh, forever. I can't remember anywhere else. But I knew the world was ending, and I wanted to see it before it was gone. So when the ravens were busy stealing someone else's mind, I ran and ran and ran. And I know they're looking for me, the ravens. But I need to warn everyone that the end is near.
So you ran away.
I didn't want to die when the end comes.
The end of what, Soul?
The world. The end of cruelty and laughter, abandonment and togetherness, apathy and empathy. I wrote about it.
A poem?
A prophecy. The ravens, they don't want anyone to hear it, because if no one knows the end is coming, it'll just come and no one will stop it and all will be lost. And the ravens, they live off the lost.
Oh my. Can I hear it?
I call it Earth on Fire, and it goes like this. All my memories have gone sour. Snakes and ravens in my ear. I'm traveling 1,000 miles an hour, but not getting anywhere. I keep dreaming of disaster. That sounds fun, but what comes after? Angels free falling from the sky? I like that, but don't ask me why. Lithium rainbows in my brain. All my thoughtgrams smell the same. My generation's all screwed up. Please put $1 in my cup. This is the end, my friends. We'll all be swimming soon to the receding shoreline, riding a nuclear typhoon. The honeymoon is over. Time for the cosmic bus. It's straight to the moon, Alice. There's no growing old for us. Broken dreams of green are endless. Politics of dreams are friendless. Greed's our credo, waste it all. Oil is up. Watch us fall. We're traveling on a one-way journey. To the techno demons we impart addictions to electronic passions. building firewalls around our hearts. If music is the food of life, technology is the breath of death, will our children still be playing Nintendo and Xbox with their last breath? We care, we share, yet go on smoking. We're all such great pretenders. End of times we're evoking. To the Kardashians we've surrendered. There's no future in our eyes. Prozac and ham for breakfast, red tide oceans, ashen skies. Having hope today is reckless.
Soul, that's amazing.
Yeah, but the Ravens don't want me to tell anyone. They say I'm making things up, but it's all ending. We are all melting.
Soul, I'd like to try and get you some help.
Too late. It's too late for me.
At least here, take my sweatshirt.
Thank you. I really have to go now. The Ravens, they're watching.
As I watched Soul hurry away, I felt regret that I hadn't insisted I call somebody. But who would I call? The police? They just take him back to the hospital where he didn't want to be. And then what? Would I check up on him? Would I even think about him? Probably not, I thought to myself. As sadness washed over me, I walked further up Broadway, hoping I'd see this Joe guy and his friendly dog. When I saw a young girl sitting cross-legged on the sidewalk next to a shopping cart overflowing with garbage bags, full of what looked like junk. She had a cardboard sign which read, "Nobody needs help."
Light comes up on a young girl dressed in rags. A shopping cart stuffed with garbage bags, full of junk, is beside her. She has a sign which reads, "Nobody needs help."
Everybody needs help.
Everybody has help. Nobody needs it.
Then why does your sign say nobody needs help?
I'm nobody.
Oh, but you're not nobody. Everybody is somebody.
You don't know me. Nobody does. I'm nobody. Nobody used to be somebody. Have friends, family, a home, a job, hopes, dreams. Had lots of dreams once, but I lost myself. The world was hungry for somebody, so it ate somebody up and spit me out. Now, nobody knows me. Nobody holds me. Nobody cares if I live or die. Nobody has a place for me. Nobody wants me around. Nobody loves me. Nobody tells me what to do, where to go, or how to be. Nobody has dreams. The dreams are dark and silent now. Nobody talks about me, and nobody listens.
I'm listening to you, and I don't see or hear nobody.
Exactly!
No, I mean, I hear you and I see you, and you are somebody.
I'm nobody. Nobody needs anybody.
Everybody needs somebody.
Nobody needs nobody. Nobody needs a measly dollar.
Here.
Nobody says thank you. Please go away now. Nobody wants to be alone.
What just happened? I thought to myself. But I knew the answer. That young girl, that sad, lost soul, was the true tragic face of homelessness. Nobody sees her. Nobody wants her. Nobody cares. And her face could be mine. I mean, except for a tiny room I rent by the week at the shabby Times Square Hotel and a job I could be laid off from, except for that, there but for the grace of God go I. I have no family, no friends. I'm living paycheck to paycheck on the edge of being homeless myself in a heartbeat. And no one would want me and no one would care. A chill went down my spine as I imagined myself dressed in rags, sitting forlornly on some sidewalk with a sign that declared, "I used to be you." More than a crime against humanity, homelessness, I decided, is a sin, and society is the sinner. Deep in thought, I almost bump into a tall, thin man wearing a rainbow-colored vest and a wizard hat. At his feet is a sign which says, "Your future for some change."
Light comes up on the great Banzini.
Good day to you, miss. How fare you this great day?
So far, so good, thanks. How are you, sir?
Still alive and therefore glorious. I am the great Banzini. And you are?
I'm Charlie.
Charlie. A magnificent name. Tell me, Charlie, are you an only child?
Oh, me? Yeah.
I thought as much. Your aura suggests you spend a lot of time alone. Moody blue, don't you know?
My aura.
Your aura, yes. Signature of the soul. Light of the spirit. The true face of the self. Your aura tells me everything I need to know about your past, present, and what the future may hold.
And you see my aura.
Oh, my dear Charlie, I am the seventh son of a seventh son. I am a seer, a poet, and a pirate of fate. I reveal people's pasts and chart their potential destinies. And yes, I see your aura. Blue, with a hint of red and some orange striping. Most beautiful.
Blue, red, and orange, huh? Is that good or not good? Or...
Neither. The blue tells me you've lived through some ordeals. Heavy stuff. You still carry some of it with you. The red says you have deep passions and a soft heart. And the orange means you have great compassion for everyone, except yourself.
Wow, that's actually pretty accurate.
Your aura never lies, Charlie.
Well, what else do you see in my aura?
You're on a daring journey, my dear Charlie. You are a seeker of truth and light, searching for something, for someone. You drift alone to islands of loneliness, longing, regret, searching for the faintest glimmer of humanity and hope, seeking a joyful dreamer in an ocean of sorrow. I see you buffeted by waves of sadness. So much sadness. A lost soul amid lost souls, yet full of untapped wellsprings of joy and hope, longing for love, companionship, belonging. Your many questions will yield unexpected answers. Courage, heartbreak, epiphany, until you discover the dreamer and free the dreamer in you.
That was beautiful. It's strange, but lovely. I am searching for someone. Can you tell me what happens when I find them?
Ah, the future! My dear Charlie, my observations of your past and present are free as the breeze. But to disclose your future, I humbly request a small donation.
How about my last $2?
Your future, Charlie, is what you make of it.
That's all?
That's everything. Adieu, good Charlie. The future is yours. Make it glorious. Good day to you, sir. How fare you this fine day?
Banzini exits the stage.
I stood there for a long moment, wondering how the great Banzini read me so easily and so scarily. On the next block up, I noticed a man and a dog sitting on a blanket in the shade of a movie marquee. The blanket was covered in dog toys. Homeless Joe, the man I'd been looking to meet. What was his story, I wondered to myself. Without a penny in my pocket and curiosity in my heart, I sailed up Broadway, expecting the best and preparing myself for the worst. I also hoped this Joe person and his dog were as friendly as Pink Floyd said they would be.
Light comes up on a man in his 40s, casually dressed, squatting on a blanket with a pit bull by his side. A bunch of well-chewed dog toys are strewn about them. A bag of high-end dog food and a knapsack lay beside the man. A cardboard sign bears the message, "Let's all have a great day." Charlie walks up to the man and he notices her.
Hi there.
Hello.
My name's Charlie, and I'm writing a story about people who are homeless for a small community newspaper. Would it be okay if I talk to you for a bit?
Yeah, sure, okay. But I'm not homeless. I'm an urban camper.
Oh, well, I'd still like to hear your story if you don't mind.
No problem. I tell you what, though, I love a good story myself. So I'll tell you mine, but then you tell me yours. You got a deal?
Fair enough.
Groovy. My name is Joe. This here doggy is Mush. So, Charlie, what do you want to know?
Well, first of all, is Mush friendly?
Put out your hand and find out. I'm just kidding. She's as friendly as they come, just a big mush, hence the name. Go ahead, pet her, she lives for it.
What are those scars on her back from?
I think her previous owner abused her. I found her tied to a tree in Central Park on a freezing winter evening. Her paws were frozen to the ground. She was half dead when I came across her. It took some doing, but she's fine and dandy now. I mean, she's scared of some things. Thunder, lightning. I don't know, maybe her jerk owner left her out in a storm or something.
She looks happy. Happy eyes. But where do you guys sleep?
Grassy Hill in Central Park, over by the lake. It's convenient. It's more comfortable than you might think.
What about in the winter?
We relocate. Florida, baby. Warm, sandy beaches, sea breezes. You can't beat it, man. I used to live there.
Oh, Florida, huh? You have family there?
I used to. Mom and dad, two sisters. They were all very wonderful, loving folks.
Nice. Did they move somewhere else?
They all died in a fire when I was 13. I was sleeping over at a friend's house, and the whole house went up. Everyone I loved, Charlie, everyone who loved me, gone without a trace, like they never existed.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we were a very loving family. I mean, we did everything together. Trips, picnics, birthdays. Hey, I played first base in Little League, and my parents and sisters came to all my games. That was 30 years ago. Messed me up pretty bad for a long time. I mean, my life hadn't even begun. Suddenly it was over. At least I thought it was, but life hadn't done with me yet. You have any family, Charlie?
Oh, me? No. My parents passed away a long time ago. We weren't close, though. Never were, really. Not like you and your family. I'm so sorry.
That was a lifetime ago. I cherish their memories. What else you want to know?
What brought you to New York?
Oh, the pizza. I'm kidding again. I came to New York to get some distance between me and my sorrows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. What happened once you got to New York?
Started over. Wasn't easy, let me tell you. I mean, I got a job at a place called Save the Planet, lobbying for clean energy, solar, wind, stuff like that. Seemed like meaningful work, and it was. I mean, I felt like I had a reason to live, but I thought for sure I would never find love again. And I was wrong. I met this amazing, vibrant, beautiful woman there, Amy. She shined a bright light into my dark heart. Her love for me, mine for her, burned all the pain away. Made me glad to be alive again. We married in Central Park under a willow tree, had a boy, Jeremy, handsome, full of joy like his mom.
Nice. I'm jealous. How'd you wind up as an urban camper?
Well, Amy and Jeremy died this past December. Drunk driver on Riverside Drive. I was at work when I got the call. I swear, my heart stopped. The room spun. I couldn't breathe. I woke up in the hospital ER a few hours later, the sight of my boss's face, Mildred. Very tough, very kind Nigerian woman. Tears were streaming down my face and her face as she hugged me and I hugged her back. We stayed like that. We were hugging each other for dear life for what seemed like forever. And eventually, I pushed her away and I ran out onto the street and I kept running. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. It was all happening again. Only people in the world I loved, gone. I wound up in Central Park near the lake and I started screaming, why them? Why not me? Why didn't you take me? How could you leave me alone? But no one answered. I was all alone again.
I was speechless. My body went numb and I felt a chill go up my spine. Joe was breaking my heart just like Pink told me he would. I mean, Joe was just sitting there calmly telling me he'd lost everyone he'd ever loved, his entire family, twice. It was unthinkable. I mean, all the people whom I'd met on the street had lost so much. Pink was abandoned at birth and lost his childhood. Blind Sally lost her sight and her dreams. Soul lost his freedom and his mind. Modesto lost part of his mind and his heart. But Joe, he lost everyone and everything twice. I just sat there staring at Joe, and after a momentous silence, he spoke again.
So there I was, screaming at God in Central Park. What had become a cold December evening. Eventually I stopped. I was exhausted, and the park was covered with this blanket of snow, and the air had that eerie quiet about it. There was nobody around. I was about to jump into the icy lake when I heard something. It was whimpering. I glanced around and I saw there was this poor dog tied to a tree a few yards away from me. I stared at her for a minute. Somebody abandoned her. She was suffering. No one in the world to save her from certain death except me. In my agony, I considered ignoring her and just diving into the icy oblivion of the lake, but the more I looked at her, the more she whimpered. And then Charlie, she looked me right in the eye, as if to say, please help me. I just couldn't leave her to die. So I untied her. I carried her out of the park. And Mush is no lightweight, let me tell you. And I flagged down a police car that happened to be cruising by, and we all went down to the 24 Animal Hospital, on East 62nd. Took a few weeks of doing, but I did save Mush's life. And somehow she saved mine. I was still in agony, but I couldn't abandon her. I just couldn't. She gave me a reason to keep living, even though I really didn't want to. She kept me here on this earth. That was the first miracle.
What was miracle number 2?
Oh, cancer.
Cancer? What, you beat it or something?
No, I've got it. Cancer. I got it through my whole body. Docs give me about 3 months.
I don't understand where's the miracle?
Okay, look, Charlie. I prayed to God to let me die, right? Guess what? He answered. Cancer. I mean, no more sleepless nights, no more regrets, no loneliness, despair. List it goes on and on.
That's crazy, Joe. You're going to die after everything you've been through? That's horrible.
Charlie, I asked God to let me die. And bingo, I'm dying. So God exists. So heaven must exist. And my whole family, everyone I've ever loved, is waiting for me. I'm going home, Charlie. I'm going home.
Jesus, Joe, don't you think you should talk to somebody about this?
Talking to you, Charlie. Anyway, look, it's your turn.
My turn for what?
Told you some of my story. Now you got to tell me some of yours.
You just told me you're dying. What am I supposed to say to that?
Hey. Deal's a deal. Pull up some pavement. Tell me about you, Charlie.
Charlie addresses the audience.
What could I say? Joe just told me he was on his way to heaven. Should I have told him he sounded crazy and needed help? What help? Someone to somehow convince Joe he wasn't guaranteed that he was going to heaven? Someone to invalidate his dream and bring him crashing down to reality? I decided to sit on the dusty SpongeBob blanket with Mush's head in my lap and told Joe my story.
Charlie speaks to Joe.
I was born in Brooklyn. My father wanted a boy, so he named me Charlie. Dad was a proud Italian ex-Marine. My mother was a failed Irish nightclub singer. Dad was a raging alcoholic. Mom was a manic depressive, and they fought like cats and dogs. I was scared a lot of the time growing up. I hid out in sci-fi novels and Star Wars movies. I dreamed I was the first female starship captain sailing the galaxies and righting wrongs. I wrote down notebooks full of dreamed up stories, action, romance, adventure. I was better at fantasy than I was at reality. My dad couldn't keep a job, so we'd owe rent and move all the time. I lived in 13 different apartments before I was 9. I was working by age 12, babysitting, shopping for seniors, other odd jobs. I couldn't bring a friend home, what with my parents fighting all the time, and I had few friends anyway. I had to sneak around to date boys and lie that I was out with the girls. I felt like a bottle adrift on the ocean with a message inside me that said, "Help, somebody please get me to safety." My dad died of kidney disease when I was 22, and my mom soon after. She swallowed 5 bottles of pills and left a note which said, "No love." I sort of lost my mind and then spent the next few dozen years or so rambling around aimlessly. I moved from place to place, job to job, bartender, waiter, line cook. I took whatever job came my way. I was a loner most of the time. There were some men, but I never fell in love. I finally got a job as a copy editor for this small Manhattan newspaper. But I want to write something important. And homelessness is that story. I'm sure of it. That's my story.
Nope.
What do do you mean nope? Nope what?
No, that's not your story. Well, that's not all of it anyway. There's a whole lot more to both of us, Charlie.
More? Like what? I had a crappy life so far and I'm out on the street looking for I don't know what. Absolution, salvation. You just told me you've suffered pain no human being should ever endure. And on top of that, you're glad you're dying. What more is there to tell?
Lenny, listen. Okay, I love 60s rock and roll, right? Especially the Stones. My wife, Amy, she loved the Beatles, the early stuff. We danced to 60s rock all the time around our house. I mean, we passed Jeremy between us and we laughed, we sang. It was magical. I've read a ton of history books. I fell in love with the Vikings, Norse mythology, especially Thor, god of thunder. Imagine, Charlie, being able to summon a storm. I've only been out of the country once. When during my college years, I took a trip to Scotland. Man, the castles, the moors, the green rolling hills are so surreal, so beautiful. Yeah. I used to smoke Newports, but I quit cold turkey when I met Amy. I like deviled eggs, steak burritos, banana splits with hot fudge topping. Oh, okay. Once when I was 12, I hit an inside the park home run in Little League baseball. When I slid it to home, I broke my arm. But I scored and the crowd went nuts. My favorite colors? Sunset orange, Cancun sea blue. I met Johnny Depp. I did, in a dive bar in New Orleans one night. We talked about swordfish, 5-card stud, old bourbon. And I loved my mom and dad and sisters and wife and son more than life itself. And now, knowing I'm going to see them soon, I'm more at peace than I've ever been.
Okay. Okay, Joe. Sounds like you've made up your mind.
That I have, Charlie. Now, come on, let me hear it. What do you want out of life? What do you care about? What do you love?
Well, I love hip hop, the beats, the breaks, the vibes. It's ecstatic. I love scarfing down a half-pound bacon cheeseburger and a mountain of sweet potato fries with a giant-sized chocolate milkshake to wash it all down. I love tarot cards, the significance of each card, the fantastic, evocative artwork, the magician, the fool, and of course, my favorite card, the lovers. Unity, separation, crossroads, what paths are before me and which ones do I take? So far, my path has been sort of aimless. I root for both New York baseball teams, the Mets and the Yankees. Go New York. I love museums, especially the modern art, because it's got Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. Oh, such genius, such passion, such pain, heartbreakingly beautiful, like life often is. Oh, I love hawks. So confident, so majestic in flight. I saw one by the Brooklyn Bridge once. I wished I could fly away with him to someplace wild, less crowded, less noisy. Someplace I could just be. I love the outdoors, especially the mountains and streams. My parents took me to Yellowstone Park once when I was just a kid. They didn't fight so much there. It's like we were in a sacred place. The lakes, the pine trees, the sky at night bursting with stars and possibilities. It was all so peaceful. It was the closest I'd ever felt to God and heaven. I cried when we left. I want someone to hold, to be held by, to love and be loved by. to share what there is of this life with. My idea of a perfect evening would be sitting on a porch swing, sipping mint-flavored iced tea while watching an orange-flavored sunset melt into the tree line with someone I love. Just sipping and sitting with someone to love. That's my dream.
Now you're talking, Charlie. And I'll bet that is just the tip of the iceberg of all your dreams and notions. Oh, Charlie, I haven't told you about my dream to build a theme park based on, you ready for it? Sea life. Blue whale flume ride, whoosh, tropical fish carousel, and a sea turtle shaped ice cream pie stand. I got the whole thing laid out in this here notebook.
It sounds wonderful. But what about Mush, Joe? What happens to her when you go?
Oh, there's this rich lady. She owns a big Upper West Side apartment. Comes by here all the time to visit us. She brings Mush toys, treats. She said she'd love to take her if anything ever happened to us. She's a swell lady. She's real classy. I'll let her know when it gets time to say goodbye.
Mush will be heartbroken.
Well, I'll see Mush again on the other side. And hey, my wife and son always wanted a dog.
One big happy family.
That's right, Charlie. One big happy family. Now you're getting it. Family, friends, love you share with them. When it comes right down to it, what else is there? Now, my theme park. You know, I'm thinking, I hate to let a dream go to waste. So I'd like you to have it.
Me? Oh, Joe, I couldn't.
Yeah, sure you could. Look. I could take it with me in my heart, but that's it. At least this way, if you take it, I'll know the dream was still alive. Please, please, please.
Okay, Joe. No one ever gave me their dream before.
Well, it's about damn time. Everyone should carry a dream around, Charlie. I tell you yet about the funhouse made to look like a coral reef or the seashell-shaped snack bar. That's a lot of S's. Let me tell you about the Great White Shark roller coaster.
Joe and I talked for a little while more, mostly about our dreams, until the pink sunset on the Lincoln Center skyline. Eventually, I thanked Joe, wished him and Mush the best, and just drifted away. That was the last time I ever saw them.
Light goes out on Joe.
As I sailed slowly back down Broadway, I felt a wave of emotions. Angry that Joe was dying, glad he didn't seem to be suffering, sad about all the homeless folks I'd spoken to and the stories they told me, all of them adrift in the sea of 7 million souls. I had a sudden, sharp realization, not just about the people who are homeless, but about myself as well. We need each other, perhaps desperately. And like Blind Sally had told me, we need to dance.
A light comes up on Blind Sally sitting on her usual spot, and Charlie walks over to her.
Blind Sally? Hi, it's Charlie again from before.
Hello, Charlie. You find Joe?
Yep, I found him all right.
Good. He tell you his story?
Yeah, all of it.
Very good. Hell of a tale, eh?
It sure was. Sally, can I ask you a personal question?
Sure, Charlie, feel free.
Sally,